Marilyn Monroe, one of the most iconic figures in Hollywood, lived a life filled with fame, glamour, and controversy. Though many remember her for her roles in classic films and her stunning beauty, her personal life was just as complex and intriguing. Marilyn was married 3 times, and each marriage had a significant impact on her life and career. These marriages were with James Dougherty, Joe DiMaggio, and Arthur Miller. Each relationship was different, and they all shaped her in various ways. Marilyn Monroe was born as Norma Jean Mortensen on the 1st of June 1926 in Los Angeles, California. She had a troubled childhood filled with instability and uncertainty. Her mother, Gladys, struggled with mental health issues, which led to Norma Jean spending much of her youth in foster homes and with different guardians. As she grew up, Norma Jean longed for stability and a sense of belonging. In 1942, when she was just 16 years old, Norma Jean married James Dougherty, a 21-year-old factory worker. The marriage was arranged by her guardian, Grace McKee, who thought it would provide Norma Jean with security and a stable life. At that time, she was still a young girl with little experience in the world, and marriage seemed like a way to escape her difficult circumstances. James Dougherty was a decent man, and he cared for Norma Jean, but their marriage was not based on deep love or mutual understanding. It was more of a practical arrangement. Norma Jean was eager to please, and she took on the role of a housewife, but she was still a teenager with dreams and aspirations that went beyond the walls of their home. During their marriage, World War II was raging, and James joined the Merchant Marine. While he was away, Norma Jean found work at a munitions factory. It was during this time that she was discovered by a photographer who was taking pictures of women working in the war effort. Her beauty and charm were immediately noticed, and this led to her first modeling job. The camera loved her, and soon, Norma Jean began to dream of a career in the spotlight. As her modeling career took off, Norma Jean realized that her marriage to James was holding her back. She wanted more from life than being a housewife. In 1946, the couple divorced amicably. James would later say that he still loved her, but he understood that she needed to follow her dreams. After the divorce, Norma Jean changed her name to Marilyn Monroe and began to pursue a career in Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe's second marriage was to Joe DiMaggio, one of the most famous baseball players of all time. Joe was a legend in his own right, known for his incredible talent on the field and his quiet, dignified personality. The two met in 1952, and despite their very different worlds, they were drawn to each other. Marilyn was at the height of her fame when she and Joe began dating. She was beautiful, charismatic, and adored by fans all over the world. Joe, on the other hand, was a more private person. He was retired from baseball by the time they met, but he was still a major public figure. Their relationship attracted a lot of attention from the media, and they quickly became one of the most famous couples in America. Despite their strong attraction to each other, Marilyn and Joe had a tumultuous relationship. Joe was a traditional man who wanted a quiet, devoted wife. He had a hard time dealing with Marilyn's fame and the fact that she was a sex symbol. He was often jealous and possessive, which led to many arguments. Despite their differences, Marilyn and Joe married on January 14, 1954. The wedding was a simple private ceremony at San Francisco's City Hall. However, their marriage was short-lived. One of the most famous moments in their marriage happened during the filming of the movie The 7-Year Itch. In the film, Marilyn stood over a subway grate and her white dress blew up, revealing her legs. The scene became iconic, but it caused a huge fight between Marilyn and Joe. He was furious that she had exposed herself in such a way, and it put a strain on their relationship. The couple separated just 9 months later, and they divorced in October 1954. The pressures of Marilyn's career and Joe's jealousy were too much for them to overcome. Even after their divorce, Joe and Marilyn remained close. Joe continued to care deeply for Marilyn, and he was always there for her when she needed support. After her death in 1962, Joe was devastated. He arranged her funeral and even had roses delivered to her grave every week for 20 years. Many believe that Joe was the one man who truly loved Marilyn for who she was, despite their differences. Marilyn Monroe's third and final marriage was to Arthur Miller, a famous playwright. Arthur was known for his intellectual and serious works such as Death of a Salesman and The Crucible. He was a very different man from both James Dougherty and Joe DiMaggio, where James was a simple working-class man and Joe was a sports hero. Arthur was a man of ideas and words. Marilyn met Arthur in 1951, but their relationship didn't begin until several years later, after her marriage to Joe DiMaggio had ended. Arthur was married at the time, and their relationship started as a friendship. However, over time they fell in love, and Arthur eventually divorced his wife to be with Marilyn. Marilyn and Arthur married on June 29, 1956, in a small private ceremony. Their marriage was seen as a union between beauty and brains. Marilyn was fascinated by Arthur's intelligence and depth, and she saw him as someone who could provide the stability and understanding she craved. Arthur, in turn, was captivated by Marilyn's vulnerability and her desire to be taken seriously as an actress. During their marriage, Marilyn tried to prove herself as more than just a pretty face. She wanted to be respected for her acting talent and to take on more serious roles. Arthur supported her in this, and he eventually wrote the screenplay for The Misfits, a film in which Marilyn starred. The film was meant to showcase Marilyn's depth as an actress.
About 600 pounds, I guess. It must be about 400 on that brown, huh? Just about, yeah. Must be about 800 on the stallion. Oh, a little light. It'll be about 1,900, 2,000 pounds. Well, how does that all come out? Well, 6 cents a pound. It'll be about $110, $120. How do you want to cut it up? Any way you like. I'll take 50 for myself and the plane. Okay. I ought to have about 40 for the truck and me. That leaves 25 for you, Purse. That all right? Purse!
No, you fellas take it. I just came along for the ride anyway.
She's crazy. They're all crazy. You try not to believe it because you need them. She's crazy. You struggle, you build, you try. You turn yourself inside out for them. But it's never enough. So they put the spurs to you. I know, I got the marks. I know this racket. I just forgot what I knew for a little while.
But the production was troubled and the movie did not achieve the success they hoped for. Marilyn and Arthur's marriage was marked by both passion and difficulty. Marilyn struggled with her mental health and a growing addiction to prescription drugs. She often felt insecure and worried that she was not good enough for Arthur. Despite his love for her, Arthur found it difficult to deal with her emotional turmoil, and he sometimes withdrew into his work, leaving Marilyn feeling more isolated. The couple separated in 1960 and officially divorced in January 1961. Their marriage had been intense and creative, but ultimately it could not withstand the pressure of Marilyn's emotional struggles and Arthur's need for a more stable life. Marilyn Monroe's three marriages were as complex and captivating as the woman herself. Each marriage revealed different aspects of her personality and her desires. With James Dougherty, she sought security and escape from her difficult childhood. With DiMaggio, she experienced both deep love and intense conflict as she tried to balance her need for independence with his traditional views. With Arthur Miller, she hoped to find intellectual fulfillment and understanding, but their marriage was ultimately undone by her inner demons. Throughout her life, Marilyn longed for love, acceptance, and stability, but these desires were often at odds with the demands of her fame and her own insecurities. Her marriages reflect the challenges she faced in trying to reconcile her public persona with her private self. Despite the difficulties she encountered in her relationships, Marilyn's life and loves have left an indelible mark on history, and she remains an enduring symbol of beauty, talent, and the complexities of the human heart. In the end, Marilyn Monroe was a woman who was loved by millions, but who often struggled to find the love and understanding she needed most in her personal life. Her three marriages were a testament to her search for happiness and fulfillment, a search that was both tragic and inspiring. Marilyn Monroe continues to fascinate and captivate people all over the world, not just for her beauty and talent, but for the depth of her human experience.